Welcome to this edition of Rattling the Bars. I'm your host, Mansa Musa. Oftentimes we hear about unlock the box, and it's almost becoming cliches. It's an organization called Solitary Watch that monitors solitary confinement throughout the world, and the United States in particular. And they're real strategic in highlighting the torture and abuse that solitary confinement is. Well, we have with us today people that's in this space right today, and guess where they're operating out of? Our nation capital. They're operating out of Washington, D.C., and they're organizing to unlock the box. But guess where they're trying to unlock the box at? In D.C. jail. So why would you have solitary confinement in an environment where the nature of the environment is a transitory environment? The people in that environment are their pending conviction. They haven't got convicted. They only been charged, but yet they're being treated like they're doing severe time and they're being subjected to solitary confinement. Joining me today is Herbert Robinson and Cinquan Omar Muhammad. Welcome, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. How you doing
Thank
today?
you for having us. Thank you for having us.
I'm doing all right. So let's start with you, Herbert, because we had you on before talking about unlock the box, and I was recently at an activity that y'all was doing, y'all sponsored about unlock the box. That's where I met Brother Umar at, and y'all was talking about some of the things that y'all was doing, some of the initiatives y'all was taking. But more importantly, y'all was in the space of educating people about unlock the box and what exactly that is. Tell our audience what exactly is unlock the box and where y'all stand at right now in terms of the coalition that y'all building to unlock the box.
Got you. Again, I thank you for letting me be on and appreciate you, Umar, for joining me. The Unlock the Box DC is a coalition here in DC that's trying to end solitary confinement. It's built up of transformative justice advocates and a lot of the organizations in DC that look at solitary confinement as torture, along with the United Nations. The United Nations had what they brought about is the Mandela Rule that says 15 days or more in solitary confinement is torture. And solitary confinement is often described as torture, and it involves isolating individuals for 22 to 24 hours a day inside of a cell. So, the Unlock the Box campaign is here to end that. And we're offering, a different change into the community because it's in DC jail, it's being looked at as a judicial issue.
Right.
But we're looking at it as a public health issue.
Right. And one of the things that I recall at the conference that y'all was having on it, y'all had got someone to introduce a bill to do what?
Yes, so that bill was introduced by our champion, and that's Councilmember Breonna Nadeau.
From Washington, D.C.?
From Washington, D.C., yes. Breonna Nadeau introduced the bill for us, and the bill is to abolish solitary confinement. We're seeking to end solitary confinement, and we're asking that each person housed in DC jail is entitled to 8 hours a day outside of their cell. DC jail uses solitary confinement, but they have named it with different names. They have a mental unit that they use for solitary confinement. They have protective custody. They have safe cells. They have disciplinary.
Yeah.
They house the LGBT community in solitary confinement because they don't have nowhere else to put them. And, they do the juveniles like that at times on different units. So with this being said, it's like the jail is lacking the programs and the resources. And that's what we seek to figure out how to implement these programs and resources inside the jail. Because it's a lot that could be done, man, to help the people adjust and better themselves under them conditions, especially when it comes to social and emotional learning and cognitive thinking and things like that, to deal with problem solving and be aware of their anger and how they respond and react to certain situations. And these are things that stripped away from you when you locked in that cell by yourself. You know, you become possessive of your own material and things like that. You know, and then the dignity of rewashing clothes that the whole unit then wore and then giving back to you to put on. Like these things, like they take away from you, they strip you down.
Right.
You know, so
and, I did 48 years before I got out, but I did 4.5 of them years in the Supermax, which was solitary confinement. I did a lot of time on segregation, which is with solitary confinement, but I never looked at it like that. But when I got to the Supermax, I really realized the impact that isolation had, because sometimes it was like 24 and none, 23 and 1, or 24 and none for the most part. And everything was designed around how you would do your due diligence with yourself in your cell. Omar, talk about your experience, because tell our audience a little bit about yourself and some of your experience dealing with solitary confinement. Because I recall your speech at the conference that the Unlock the Box Coalition was having, and I've been in this space for a minute, but I was really impressed. That's what made me approach you about coming on and educating our audience about solitary confinement.
Yes, sir. Well, first I want to thank you, brother Mansa, for having me here today. I also want to thank my brother Herbert Robinson for always, bringing me along. Brother Herbert is my mentor, has been my mentor for some time. So I always try to, get in any space that I can with him and get involved with any campaign that he's a part of, because we both have similarly shared experience. At the age of 16, I was sent to juvenile life in D.C. Superior Court. And I was fortunate that at some point in time, roughly around 2017, 2018, the D.C. Council came up with what's called the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act. Right. What the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act does is it affords juveniles who committed crimes before the age of 18, the first version, second version, the age of 25 and under, right, who have served a minimum of 20 years or 15 years to petition the court for release.
Right.
And everything is predicated on your conduct while you've been incarcerated throughout these years since you were juvenile. I petitioned the court for release after 29 years, 10 months, and I was released. I was released back into society, and I made it my top priority, because while I was incarcerated, I knew that if I should ever be released, the one thing that I wanted to work on and I wanted to dedicate the rest of my life to, right, was working first and foremost, just criminal justice reform in general, right? But more importantly, in this solitary confinement period, but there has to be a starting point. There has to be a starting point. And I'm from Washington, D.C., so what better place to start but in Washington, D.C., right? But I've, over 29 years and 10 months, I've roughly spent about 6.5 years consecutively in solitary confinement. And one thing that I always say, and I shout it from the rooftop, right? Solitary confinement is 100%, make no mistake about it, torture. It's mental torture, it's physical torture, it's psychological torture, it's emotional torture. This is torture that needs to be ended, because these are the same citizens that will be returning back to the community at some point in time. Who do you want living next door to you? Somebody who has been reformed, right? Who has spent years in incarceration, who has reformed himself, better himself when he's coming back out, back into society as someone who's a better person? Or do you want someone who is batshit crazy? Who has practically lost his mind because he's been sitting inside of a cell alone, counting the bricks on wall. I mean, this is a public safety issue. Right. And if this is a public safety issue, then we got to treat this in a manner where this is an emergency. In solitary confinement, who would want to lock somebody in a room the size of your bathroom and leave them in there for, years on top of years on top of years, but expect them to still come out in the same conditions that they went in? That's insanity.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
So Unlock the Box, I'm involved with a lot of organizations, right? Free Mind Right Book Club and Workshop, Better Communities Not Prisons. Currently, I'm a Break Free Education IRA 2024 fellow. I'm a fellow. That's where I'm working at right now. But I just was hired for a job with Dreaming Out Loud, which is a organization that works to end the food inequities in the greater Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah.
So, you know, but whatever my brother Herbert Robinson is involved in, because we're passionate about these same issues. But the top one being, first and foremost, is erasing solitary confinement, unlocking the box. And that's what I'm here to talk about.
Okay, hey, Herbert, let me, you know, because Omar made a good point, and this is his mantra. That's his mantra. He said it at the conference, when the coalition, that solitary confinement is 100% torture. When we think of torture, and you know, we see the forms of torture that take place on, like, in the movies, and we see torture is more physical. Why are y'all saying that solitary confinement? And he outlined, like, the different reasons what's behind: emotional, social, physical, mental. But why do you say it's torture? And how do you get people to understand it being torture? Because when you say someone is being tortured, they waterboard out people they falsely accused, that they locked up in Iraq, named illegal combatant. They waterboard them, and the UN say that, well, that's torture. They did a lot of physical things to them, and they claim that torture. So most people might think, say, well, like, when you say torture, oh, it ain't got no physical element to it, you just put somebody in a cell, feeding them, giving them, you know, shower, some food, break them out maybe once in a while to give them some rest. How is that torture?
So as the brother spoke, because when he said torture, he broke it down from psychological, emotional, mental, physical. This torture happens on every level. Like, you come from being in society with your family to being incarcerated. Now, if you're incarcerated on population, you might have access to the phone and things at a regular basis. In solitary confinement, you don't get that. You might be put in a position where you can only send one letter a month, have one 15-minute phone call a month. Like, that's torture. Like, sitting there wondering what your family doing for 30 days before you can send your next letter or receive your next letter or get your next phone call. Again, having them collect everybody underclothes off of the tier and wash them in the same laundry basket, and then come and pass them back out. Not your personal stuff, but just, this your size, this yours.
Yeah.
Like, this the stuff the man next to you could have just, shit it in or whatever.
Yeah.
The day
right.
before, like, you know, but this is what you gotta wear now because they feel as though it's clean enough for you to wear. That you still see hairballs and stuff in it. Like, this is torture, bro.
Yeah, that's torture.
But on the flip side, just imagine being trapped in your bathroom. Like, but it's this COVID. For the people that was trapped in their house during COVID, felt as though they was being tortured. Like, they couldn't handle being stuck in their own home.
Right.
But just imagine people that's incarcerated is being trapped inside of something the size of a bathroom. That is considered a bathroom because they have a toilet and sink in it as well.
Right.
Some have showers too.
Right there.
But you're being trapped there. So you have some that complain about, that say it's not solitary confinement because in some locations you have a cellie, right? But I think at times that make it worse because now when this person has to relieve themselves or go take care of any personal hygiene or washing themselves, you're within arm's reach at all times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel comfortable and could never get comfortable being trapped in a cell with a man right there that's washing his complete body naked in the shower. Like, but this is what you're forced under. And this is what, you know,
okay.
These are the things you want to know about torture. I call that torture, sir. That's torture to me.
That would be torture. Omar, how did you deal with solitary confinement? Because you say you did 6 in our years, and like I said, I was regimented. I was real regimented in everything I did. But when I came out of that space, when I got released from the Supermax in Baltimore, and they sent me to the cut, Jessup, in Jessup, which was known as the cut. And I was standing in what they call Center Hall, which all the traffic goes. And the whole time, this is my first time ever being out and about and around people. And I knew a lot of people in that institution, and they was coming by hollering at me and everything. They hadn't seen me in long. But I was paralyzed. My back was against the wall, and I was paralyzed. I couldn't, I'm literally, I was paralyzed, and a friend of mine seen it, and said, come on, man, let's go outside. Where no one recognized that I was like paralyzed from not being around people. Omar, how did you deal with it?
No, you was traumatized because you were tortured for the period of time that you was in solitary confinement. That's called trauma, brother. That was psychological trauma that paralyzed your limbs. Listen. It's like being sick. It's like being sick, right? And you become so ill and sick that your limbs won't even function properly, no matter how much you want to move those limbs. Brother, that's trauma. And see, the thing is this, right? When you ask the brother, well, some people going to not see it as torture. Okay, well, go lock yourself in your bathroom without no food, right? Go lock yourself in your bathroom without no clothes, no TV, and no phone, no radio, right? And then somebody bring you what they want to give you as food 3 times a day. You stay in there for 3, 4, 5, or 6 years, and then still tell me that ain't torture inside of your bathroom. Tell me that ain't torture, right? Somebody that come around and at will when they want to yank you out your cell and beat on you with they not only their fists but with instruments, right? Tell me that ain't torture. Somebody that come around when you're trying to sleep and hawk spitting through your tray slap or kicking your door and won't allow you to sleep every time they see you fall asleep. Tell me that ain't torture, because if I'm not mistaken, what they have in the Geneva Convention also deemed torture is that at a certain period of time when they continuously turn on lights and when they continuously try to, it's called sleep deprivation, that, sir, is what torture is. And that is what's going on, not only in Washington, D.C., not only in Baltimore County, but in the state prisons across the United States and in federal bureau of prisons. Now, you asked the question in specific, how did I deal with it, right? See, I dealt with it because I knew I didn't have any other choice but to deal with it, right? Because I'm a resilient young man, first and foremost. I had already suffered so much emotional loss, so much physical loss, because I'm my only child. My mother and father already died. I ain't have brothers and sisters. So all I had was myself. So I knew that if I wasn't strong for me, who was going to be strong for me, right? So what I would do is I would get up in the morning and I would offer salat. I would offer the early morning Fajr prayer, right? Bright and early, before breakfast even came around, right? I would pace the floor a little bit, read the Quran, and then I would wait for breakfast to come, eat my breakfast, trade back out the slide, then I would work out. I work out to the Dhuhr prayer, which is the midday prayer. I will work out to that time, pray, get back to working out after prayer, and get my lunch, food at lunch. After lunch, get back to working out again. And I'm giving you this regimen because here's what it entailed. It entailed that every hour that I was awake, that I had to be doing something that my mind, right, that my mind could grasp onto, that I wouldn't be looking at these walls, right, that I wouldn't be, trying to count the bricks on the walls or trying to count the spots on the floor, or I may see a stain on the floor and I'm saying, oh, that looked like Jesus on the floor. Because, I had almost got to that point. Make no mistake about it, right? You see a spill on the floor, but the spill may have been on the floor so long that it takes a certain design of somebody that you may have known, right? That's when you know you're losing your damn mind.
Yeah.
That's when you know that what you are experiencing is torture. Because now what it does is starting to alter your perspective on how you see the world. That's torture, brother.
Yeah.
So I had to do things, man, that my mind could physically identify with, that I can grasp onto, and that would keep me sane, which is prayer, which was working out, but also which was getting inside of the vents in the vent that blows out, that controls the air to the cell. And I would talk to other people in the other cells because I wanted to make sure that they was all right. Here I am, damn near losing my mind, but I wanted to make sure other brothers was all right. Why? Because we all in the same struggle. We all in the same fight. And I don't want to be the only one up here sitting like I'm all right, but then that's what was giving me a peace of mind so I wouldn't lose my damn mind. talking to somebody else. So I know that they needed it too.
I heard so and Omar, that real succinct, and I've been in that space. I like I said earlier, I was regimented. So I had a regiment that I had set up, and everything was based on whatever I wanted to do that day, but it was a regiment. I worked out, studied law, read books, went to sleep, woke up, ate, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom. That was the regiment to keep me from going crazy, keep me from pacing the floor, keep me from looking on the floor and seeing something down there and saying, "Oh, look, that's Michael Jordan shooting a jump shot." Keep me from like wanting to cut my wrist with a spoon. But Herbert, talk about where y'all at right now. What the campaign look like in terms of like one trying to get the legislation passed at the D.C. City Council, because that's what you're talking about when you say the councilwoman. That was a councilwoman at the D.C. City Council. Talk about where y'all at with the Unlock the Box campaign and what's y'all upcoming initiative around Unlock the Box.
So right now with the Unlock the Box campaign, the fiscal year is ending. So we have a push till December to try to get a hearing this year. But if not, we'll be looking to secure a hearing next year, the beginning of next year. And that task is through the Judiciary Chair, Council Member Brooke Pinto here in Washington, D.C. Right now, we have 9 council members that have signed on in support of the bill.
What's the bill for the benefit of our audience? What's the bill number?
It's the Race Act 2023.
Okay.
I will have to go.
Now that's good enough. Just so let them know that, like, when you say the bill, they know it is actual bill.
Yeah, the Race Act 2023. And so out of the 9 that we have signed on, it's only 13. One is being voted into office next month. But we do have throughout one of his campaign forums, we had him actually verbally say that he agrees that solitary confinement is torture and he wants to support us ending it. So in that sense, we have 10. Mm-hmm. We're only missing 3, and that's the chairman, Brooke Pinto, the ex-chairman, Mendelson, and Trayon White. Trayon White asked us to set up a conversation with him so we can explain a little bit more about the bill. And that's where we at with that step. And we're in the process of scheduling meetings with Mendelson as well as Brooke Pinto. But
in terms of the work, because y'all did a nice thing with organizing the coalition, right? So in terms of getting people involved with the coalition, what are y'all doing around that?
So erasesolitary.com is the website, and you can go on. There's links on there to ask, for those that want to join the coalition, want to do any volunteer work for the coalition, bring in your organizations, and we take individuals. We go out and do canvassing. It's always something that can be done. We especially when it comes to social media posts and editing, things like that. Website work, what I'm saying? We always got a space where we can help and find help and need help. So, one could go onto the website and say erasesolitary.com, and
right.
and check that out.
And Omar, you got to answer this question. Why do you think they so resistant to like recognizing this torture and doing something about it? And when I say they, I'm talking about the system, the state, the government, the powers to be. Why do you think it's such a resistance on their part to recognize this as torture and enact legislation to eliminate it?
I'll give you a scenario better. I'll give it to you in the form of a scenario to help you understand it. I kill somebody in the street, but the state that got the death penalty want to kill me. That's retaliatory in nature. But this is supposed to be a government for the people and by the people, right? But now I kill somebody somebody kill one of my brothers in the street, I go back and kill him and they give me life. What makes it right for them to kill me for killing somebody, the state, but then I kill somebody for killing somebody, the same thing they done, and you give me a life sentence. It's retaliatory in nature. And that's the way that the American judicial system functions. You do something we don't like because listen, you know, Herbert know, and many people that have been in solitary confinement that hear this know, and those that haven't been that need to be educated need to know this. Do you know that you can be put in solitary confinement because you got an extra tray out the chow hall line because you was hungry? You were hungry. So you wanted seconds. And you got in the line to get seconds, and they locked you up and put you in solitary confinement because you were hungry. Do you know that the officer cannot like you and shake your cell down because they can, anytime they want to, do what's called random searches, but they're not so random. Search your cell and plant a knife, drugs, or whatever you want to plant in your cell just to get you a solitary confinement so that when he does his overtime mandated shift, he can be working in solitary confinement so that he can physically abuse you outside of the purview of the camera. Yeah. So what we need to do more is we need to not only educate people about solitary confinement, what solitary confinement really is, we need to educate them about how they get people into solitary confinement and for what reasons they get them in solitary confinement so they can do torturous things to them that they really couldn't do within the sight of the camera. But when you put them in solitary confinement, they got a camera on the hall. I don't live on the hall. I live on a cell in the hall where there's no camera at. And this is where the torturous activities go on at.
Hey, you rattled them bars that time, Umar. Trey, somebody hungry, they put him in solitary confinement. Police say man disrespected him, put him in solitary confinement. Man walking too slow, solitary confinement. Oh, better still, look, got to Trey torture you, talk back torture, not walking fast enough torture. Herbert, you got the last word, Herbert, on this here. Tell our audience how they can get in touch with you and how they can become involved in the campaign and some of your other initiatives that you might be involved with.
Gotcha. So again, you know, erasesolitary.com is a way to get in touch with the Unlock the Box campaign. And you go on there and it's links to sign up and join the coalition and all that. As far as me, I have a website, and on my website you can check out a lot of what I'm into, from growing pain solutions to AGG transportation. You know, I'm trying to build out one in the transportation industry and the other is in this advocacy sector. But I have what I call building inclusive communities, where I try to bring in brothers like Umar and a lot of those that I've worked with. And you know, we sharing our voice. We trying to be heard. We trying to fight for what we believe in and what we feel as though the community needs, and what we feel as though when we go out into the community and talk to the community, what they tell us they need. You know, we ain't just doing this for ourselves, and we ain't just bringing the information that, you know, we feel it, you know, but nah, this is stuff we bringing out from the community. Like we out here, we in the community, we do these rallies as you've seen, and we engage in the, you know, all those around us.
And Omar, how can people get in touch with you and some of the things that you're doing, some of your initiatives that you're taking as we close out?
I'm actually, excuse me, yes, sir. I'm actually on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram. And my Instagram and Facebook are basically tied together. Cinquan 815, and it's Cinquan spelled with a C. CINQUAN 815. You can find me on Facebook, or you can find me on Instagram. The same thing. And you can see what I'm into on a daily basis. You can see the type of work that I advocate for. You can see pictures of different conferences and canvassing that we have done, and you can find out how to get involved also.
Okay.
But thank you for having me, brother. I really appreciate this. This really needed to get out. People need to understand what solitary confinement is, what's really going on, you know what I mean, and how they can help the movement. And man, anytime you need me, brother, anytime. And I know Herbert feel the same. Call on us and we're going to be there, because this is a fight that we got to keep on fighting as long as we walk in this earth.
That's right. This is a fight that we got to keep on fighting. Y'all rattle the bars. And we want to encourage our listeners and our viewers to look at this particular episode of Rattling the Bar and ask yourself, just ask yourself, when you get your plate, you take your plate to the bathroom, sit on top of the toilet stool, wash your hands, sit on the toilet, and start eating it. Then you wait for somebody to open the door and take it out. Ask yourself that you wait for them to come, open your door, and tell you that you got 15 minutes to take a shower. And then, on top of that, they tell you that the laundry is coming back and they're giving you some underwear that you just got to pick of the litter. Doodle stains in them, nut balls in them. And then they tell you that at the end of the day, when you get up out of there after doing 6 years in that environment, oh, you all right. Ain't nothing wrong with you. And by the way, you wasn't being tortured. Y'all Rattling the Bars, and we thank you for y'all coming on today. And we ask our listeners to understand this and understand this real clearly. It's only from the real news and Rattling the Bars that you get this kind of information. All three of us been in solitary confinement. We're not talking about this as a theory. We're talking about this from actual practical. We all live this experience, and we're campaigning against it, and this is why these men are on here today to talk about. Thank y'all for joining us, and we ask that you continue to support the real news and Rattling the Bars, because guess what? We really are the news.
Thank you so much for watching the Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work, so please tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to the Real News Network. Solidarity forever.